I did have a really funny text message to get to you, but I don't know if I want to rile you up already.
You think I can get riled up?
I can.
Okay.
Let's see. Do I want to? All right. Should I read it?
Yeah.
This is a question from Brian, mutual friend.
Okay.
Our buddy. You know who that is?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not riled up yet.
Podcast question. And he lists the ice times for Zeev Boyum, Marco Rossi, and Lee Mogren. And he wants to know, how did they earn all their ice time so quickly?
Well, because they don't have anybody else.
I knew you were going to go. It's not the Minnesota Wild, the stacked Minnesota Wild, the Vancouver Canucks, lowly Canucks.
They're the worst team in the league.
Oh my God!
They just traded away their number one.
Just became their number one.
Right? They traded away their best defenseman. Did you see?
And then they
went
there and they earned it. Yeah, Philip Hronik's a good player, man.
Hronik's not bad, and the rest of their decor wouldn't crack the lineup in Minnesota. And then their number one center, Elias Pettersson, went on the injured list the day of the trade. Mm-hmm. So they don't have anybody else.
But Brian is right. None of them earned it. Welcome back to Worst Seats in the House. Michael Russo, Anthony LaPanta. Thanks for everybody for coming on up here. This has got to be one of our bigger crowds, or if not, I would say our biggest crowd of the podcast history here at Tuttle's. All excited for Uwe Kubel getting his first point with the Wild.
Pitlick getting his first goal with the Wild.
Yeah,
There's so much excitement going on this weekend.
Exactly. So thanks to everybody coming out for Tuttle's. We will have a live show or two in January because in February I'm basically not in town. I think we'll do one in February as well. Well, big, obviously news, groundbreaking news for the Wild, the franchise-altering trade. They trade Marco Rossi, Zeev Boyum, and Liam Ogren, as well as a first-round pick to the Vancouver Canucks for none other than Quinn Hughes. Absolutely huge trade, a game-changing trade. And it's not often, Anthony, that you can get somebody at 26 years old in your prime that's like this. We're, as we've talked about a million times, they're in a just crazy meat grinder of a conference and a division. You're going up against Dallas and Colorado every single year. We know what they got in Heiskanen. We know what Colorado has in Cale Makar. And all of a sudden you add somebody of Quinn Hughes' ilk to this group. And then especially if you can get them long-term, it's just a huge, big moment for this franchise's history.
Yeah, the only day I can think of that rivals it is the Parisi Suter signing on July 4th. 13 years ago. That's the only day that even comes close. I mean, this is the biggest trade the franchise has ever made. I think it's a ringing endorsement of the club and how they had been playing over the last month, and it convinced Billy Guerin to take his shot. I keep going back to his quote at the trade deadline last year when he said, "It'll be our day someday. Today was not our day. This is not our time, but our time will come." And I think all of us thought that time and that shot might be taken at a top six scoring forward, but one of the best in the world at what he does came available, and Billy didn't want to miss the opportunity. And I think it's an exciting time. There's no doubt about it. This is as aggressive a move as any of the sports teams have made in this market over the years.
Well, it's one of the biggest ones I've ever covered in the NHL, and coincidentally, maybe the second biggest trade in Vancouver Canucks history. I covered back in 1999 or 2000 when Pavel Bure was traded to the Florida Panthers in like a 7 or 8 player swap that included Brett Hedican, by the way. And so, to your point that this doesn't come around a lot, and I think that we all thought, Dylan Larkin, Tage Thompson, but you can't invent players to be on the marketplace. Those guys aren't. This guy is, and this is the second best player at his position in this sport. And you just don't get 26-year-old star defenseman 2 years removed from a Norris Trophy winner. And as to your point, like Billy, we've talked about this 1,000 times on the thing. Billy doesn't mess around in these things. He sits there. If he wants to negotiate a contract, he goes right to the number. and he doesn't go over. And it's same thing with trades. He was not going to negotiate and play games with Jim Rutherford. He called him, made his offer, and waited, checked in with him a couple times. And then finally, as he's making meatballs, he gets the call. And it's crazy how quick the trade was made, and all of a sudden it landed. I was in Edmonton, and I got a call from somebody very much involved in this. It said big time trade coming, and it took about 20 minutes to confirm and able to go with it. But it was crazy how quick the trade was consummated. To how quickly it just actually became
from the
public
initial
news.
Conversation, it was remarkably fast. And we were in Vancouver and played there on Saturday, and the grumblings were starting. Like, if you talk to the media members there, they were all talking about it's coming now. They're getting serious about some trade conversations. And Billy's comment, Billy wasn't with us on the trip because he was on a scouting trip, and Matt Sells, one of his assistants, called him and said, what the rumors are that are kind of around the rink, it might be worth us making a call and just see what happens. And that was 3-4 days before the trade was made. So the Wild hadn't had a conversation with them at that point about Hughes. And it's exciting. It really is. When you look at what the back end of this team's roster now looks like with this guy on it, we saw glimpses of it already on Sunday. He made 6 or 7 plays, little subtle plays in that game that just made you shake your head and say, and this is a guy that had been traveling for a day and a half and didn't have his equipment, and that was not his best, and yet he still made plays that just made you get out of your seat to watch.
Yeah.
And everything Vancouver did offensively went through him, and I think we're going to see a guy make an impact on this roster. Billy, in our broadcast yesterday, made an interesting point because I asked him that at what point did you, for 2 years, all we've heard is that got to go out and get a top 6 guy, got to get a first or second line center, a scoring winger, one or the other. And he said, you know what? Hughes is so good offensively, he's going to make all of our existing forwards better. And I think when you watch the way he's going to make plays with guys like Kaprizov and Zuccarello and Boldy, there's going to be some special times here offensively.
No doubt about it. I mean, that's the way he defends, is getting the puck out of his own end. Just sort of how this all transpired. And, I've spent what a stroke of luck. I happen to be in Edmonton with his mom for the last week, and I'm actually working a feature on her that I'm going to be writing right before the Olympics. Basically, she got on the ice late Friday in Edmonton, and she is the player development coach for USA Hockey Women's. And it was because Quinn called her. And, she had known and he had known that this was coming. It's very clear, especially after my conversation with Pat Brisson, that 2-3 weeks ago, probably right before Thanksgiving, they had made it extremely clear to the Vancouver Canucks that he was not going to be extending his contract there in a couple of years. And he basically told them it is time. And they agreed and went to work to try to make him move. So she knew this was coming. And what was really interesting is that they had known for 3 or 4 days that most likely the deal would be Minnesota's. And one reason why is because Pat Brisson, who is such a respected agent, was sort of helping broker the deals. He was allowed to talk to other teams about and answer questions for them about, will he extend? What type of contract could it be next? And he's made no promises to anybody. But the reason why Quinn kind of knew where, Quinn, when he talks, he knows exactly what he's saying. And yesterday, when he made it very clear that there were teams out there that didn't offer enough or wouldn't offer the 2 or 3 pieces, it's because he knows the packages. He knows what was offered. And he's such a hockey nut, he knows right away exactly what Z Boyum is and Marco Rossi is and Liam Ogren are. So essentially all that entire day, he knew he was getting traded. Basically asked his mother advice on whether or not he should bring his entire life on the plane. And they decided that if he is traded by the time he gets to Jersey or in the day or two after, that she, because she was in Edmonton, would go to Vancouver and pack up his life. They touched down in Newark. He finds out the trade is done. He gets in a car, goes to his brother's. And I talked to Brock Besser today, and this will be a big story in Thursday's Athletic in a profile that I'm writing on Quinn with Joe Smith. Brock said that when they all got the notifications on the bus and Quinn wasn't even there, that it just became silent on the bus, that everybody just couldn't believe it. And, Brock had an idea this was coming, but only a couple guys on the team even knew, but nobody still thought that it was going to happen. And then Brock took me through the final dinner that he had with 3 or 4 of his teammates, and lots of really good color that's going to be in the story. But it is extremely clear 2 things. 1, Quinn wanted to move on. And 2, he's extremely happy to be in this situation. And I don't think yesterday was blowing smoke. When he talks about the future here, the one thing Brock says is all he wants to do is win. And if he sees that ability here, there is, according to his agent, his family, Quinn, Brock, there's no just plan right now. I'm going to New Jersey in 2 years. I'm going to Detroit. The Wild absolutely have a chance to keep him for whether it's 3 or 4 years on an extension, or the Wild, they're going to try for 8.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is now on the Wild to convince him that this is the right place to stay. And he had made it clear he wanted to go east to be closer to family. I mean, even though the Wild are technically in the West, it is closer to Detroit, which is where most of his family is, and the rest in New Jersey, it was the brothers. But I thought his comments yesterday were great, where he was well aware, he was impressed with what Billy had offered. I think obviously that's why he had a pretty good idea that this is where they were going to land. The Vancouver guys came out and said, the Wild's offer blew everybody else's away. So he's aware of what those offers are. He's going to know, well, boy, this is a pretty good chance I'm going to end up in Minnesota if that's what they're offering. But he commented on it after the game and said he was impressed with the fact that Billy wanted him that badly. Had a great plane ride back with Billy. Both I talked to both Billy and Quinn about the plane ride. They both just came away really impressed with the other. They knew each other in the past, but I think it could be a really good fit. And I think with him, the team's got a legitimate chance, but I can already foresee what happens. They finish 3rd and lose to Dallas in the first round, and it'll be that, hey, it's a same story, doesn't matter. It's going to be different. Somebody really good is going to get knocked out in the first round in the Central, and it doesn't mean that any of their plans are flawed. It just means 3 of the best 5 teams are in this
exactly,
division.
which is why you're just so off the charts wrong on your stupid take about the playoff format being right, which we will get to at some point. Let me just
you got to beat them.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be the best. You got to beat the best. But it is not meant that the 3 best teams in the league should play. It should be out in 9-1. It should be about competitive balance.
One team will be out in round 1,
right? But the point, and then one team's going to be out in round 2. And the point is that, as somebody very astute said to me on Twitter today, and if you're listening to this, you probably know who you are, is that the league's playoff format should not be that the 7th best team in the West has a better chance of getting to the Stanley Cup final than that one of the top 4 teams in the league. But I digress. All right. So, the one thing that was very clear last night, Anthony, is just the energy that it brings. Just real quick, actually, one point that you made about losing in the first round is a lot of it is in the room, too, and their belief. Because it's not just the fans and the media that talk about first-round exits. It's that the players in that room that have been part of this core for a long time. So now they're going to go into a playoff series feeling a lot more confident. But last night, Anthony, the crowd was so energized. The team was so energized, and we have seen it. I mean, I was not at the Dallas game the other day, but I'm watching it on TV. Not a lot of butts there. I know that they were going up against other teams going on, at the time, and there was probably bad weather and all that stuff. But they're having butts in the seat problems this season, and I just think this moves the needle. In terms of the fan base,
the energy in the building was different. It was different in warm-ups. It was different in the player introductions. It was different it was different all day, everywhere around the rink. The workers at the arena were all talking about it. The staff was excited about it. It was different. It was different.
Yeah.
And we in the broadcast, I knew that the crowd was going to roar when they announced his goal, and we just decided let's just be quiet and listen to what happens here in the building. And it was when they announced his goal, the place blew its top like it was a playoff game again. It was fun.
Great touch by you all at FanDuel. I talked to Billy today. I'm like, how is it humanly possible that you and Chris Kelleher did not see him not come onto that plane with his equipment bag? And he's like, well, so they land, he gets dropped off, and they just immediately, whoever essentially he got dropped off with, went to the back and grabbed his bags and put it on the plane. So they never got off the plane, so they weren't paying attention. And all of a sudden, he's now driving home after they land here, and he gets a really frantic text from Quinn Hughes, like, "You're not going to believe this. I left my bag in my brother's car." And then they worked quick. It's crazy. I can't really say the story of how they got his bag here, but let's just say they got somebody. So they got a 6 a.m. flight booked for somebody's wife to basically bring his equipment to Minnesota. And it wasn't even a 7 p.m. game. So there was just, could you imagine if that was a noon game or something?
Right.
And we all know hockey players. They need their equipment. This isn't just go to Play It Again Sports or Dave's or something and go and buy some, elbow pads off the shelf.
Right. And it was interesting. I happened to be down in the hallway when Quinn was being walked around, just all the little things. Like, guys having to show him where the stick room is, where this room is, where you go for this. It's funny when you think about it, because you just assume these guys they're in the NHL. You don't even worry about that kind of stuff. But somebody had to show them, like, where you go to cut your sticks, where you go to get tape, everything. It's just different.
Yep.
And he was wandering around. Matt Benz, one of the behind-the-scenes staff guys down there, was leading him around behind the wild bench into their other rooms and everything, just to kind of explain to him where he could find everything.
Yeah, I was joking with a Wild player on the phone today that the one big reason why Quinn might re-sign here is just the practice facility. I mean, remember, the one thing that is so well known in the NHL circles is how the Vancouver Canucks have not invested in something for these guys to practice in. It's embarrassing. And so when Quinn gets his first look at Tria tomorrow, that could be the cincher. There's a lot of things that could be the cincher, starting with, by the way, the fans giving him a standing O as he's leaving the ice in warm-ups the other day. Pretty unbelievable. I did have a really funny text message to get to you, but I don't know if I want to rile you up already.
You think I can get riled up?
I can.
Okay.
Let's see. Do I want to? All right. Should I read it?
Yeah.
This is a question from Brian, mutual friend.
Okay.
Our buddy. You know who that is?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not riled up yet.
Podcast question. And he lists the ice times for Zeev Boyum, Marco Rossi, and Lee Mogren. And he wants to know, how did they earn all their ice time so quickly?
Well, because they don't have anybody else.
I knew you were going to go. It's not the Minnesota Wild, the stacked Minnesota Wild, the Vancouver Canucks, lowly Canucks.
They're the worst team in the league.
Oh my God!
They just traded away their number one.
Just became their number one.
Right? They traded away their best defenseman. Did you see?
And then they
rest
went
of
there and
their
they
decor?
earned it. Yeah, Philip Hronek's a good player, man.
Hronek's not bad, and the rest of their decor wouldn't crack the lineup in Minnesota. And then their number one center, Elias Pettersson, went on the injured list the day of the trade. Mm-hmm. So they don't have anybody else.
But Brian is right. None of them earned it.
Well,
they were just anointed, given opportunity. And look, he's given that opportunity. He scores a goal and an assist. Right. Guarantee his first shift in overtime, he's going to score.
On the power play, which he did. He started the season on the number one power play for Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So he started in Vancouver, the same spot he started here. Marco Rossi went there, jumped on the first line. He was on the first line here. Mm-hmm. Where did Liam Ogren play yesterday?
Third line, which is where he was playing here. So they have the exact same opportunity that they had here in their game there. I think you're wrong, and I think it was a perfect question.
Marco Rossi was the first line center here all year.
They were just given their opportunity, and they all succeeded, and they won a big game, and now they're on the rise.
Right, yeah. We'll see. I mean, it's a great trade for Vancouver. It really is.
I agree with you.
If you're trying to rebuild a franchise quickly, they got for sure two pieces and probably three that are, I mean, Liam Ogren hasn't scored this year, but he's an NHL-ready player. Mm-hmm. So they got three NHL-ready players plus a number one pick. And I still believe Zeev Boyum he's going to be he might not be Quinn Hughes, but he's going to be the next best thing. He has that kind of skill set. And Marco Rossi's a proven 60-point centerman for $5 million for the next 2 years.
The Canucks did a great
trade for
them.
them.
The Canucks this is as good a trade as they can make under the circumstances. And now we'll see what else he has up his sleeve. I mean, the one thing is that I don't think that they're looking at this as being done. I think they realize now that they still need a forward in some capacity. The question is, because when you give up this many assets, which let's be honest, other than Wallstedt is probably their 4 best assets in the organization, what if all of a sudden a Tage did become available or somebody else, do you have what it takes to get them? The other thing is that this is going to cost a lot, whether it's a 3-year deal to, one thing I think is that if the Wild are going to re-sign Quinn, and I don't know if everybody read my Pat Brisson story a couple days ago, where Pat basically said
Let's just pretend we missed it.
Yeah, well, most people did. That's why all these people are educated and you're not. So the one thing that Pat Brisson basically said is there's a lot of way to do deals, and he insinuated that it doesn't have to be 8 years, and that right away got my radar up because he's 20. He's basically pointed out he is not old by NHL standards when it comes to free agency. He's 26, so he's got multiple contracts left in him. So what that tells me is that say Quinn. We know, by the way, Billy told me today that Kirill Kaprizov was the first player that reached out to him after the trade. He was so jacked up. And when Billy knows that he just gave Kirill this 8-year deal at $17 million, and you and I, Anthony, have talked many, many times about how the window for that still is at the beginning of that. If you're Quinn Hughes, saying to Billy, you know what, I'm going to sign a 3-year extension that puts you at 4 years. It aligns him with Jack when he's a free agent in Jersey. And then what you're saying to Billy is, here, I'm giving you 4 years. I'm staying here. Now let's go win a cup together. That is something
and
that
put yourself in a spot where you're young enough when that deal's up to still 100%. Get one more big deal.
Yep, and maybe with Jack, right? Where they choose where they're going together. I mean, it's really a truly interesting story there. So, really, really, really exciting times here for the Minnesota Wild, and this kid is just going to get better, but for better. He's also just I was talking to Brock about this today. He's just such an interesting guy, Anthony. Like he speaks his mind. He loves the sport. He's a hockey nut. Brock was telling me some hilarious stories today. It'll be in that story just about how much this kid loves hockey.
Billy told us the same thing. Yeah. And I had a chance to chat with Mike Yeo on Saturday because he was here with the Ottawa Senators, but he had coached Quinn in Vancouver the last couple of years. And so the deal had been announced. He wasn't here yet, but we talked at length about him, and he just raved about him as number one, as a student of the game, number two, as a teammate and a person away from the rink. He just said, this guy is absolute first class. He said, you guys got one of the best in the league.
No doubt about it. So that's exciting stuff. We got somebody up here that's been very, very patient. You have a question? Holiday season for many means a lot of stress, a lot of things you worry about. Company coming over, getting the house in order, grocery shopping and cooking, and all those gifts to buy. The last thing you need is more stuff to worry about, like the equipment in your home faltering. My advice, keep Aquarius Home Services on speed dial. Plumbing issues like a water heating that stopped heating? Call Aquarius. A light switch that seems to do, well, nothing? Call Aquarius. Trust me, I do that all the time. And a faulty furnace that forgot it's now time to keep your home warm? Well, call Aquarius. Aquarius is the company that I've trusted to take care of my home for years. Plus, right now, Aquarius provides $98 off any repair and are just a click away at AquariusHomeservices.com. Enjoy the worry-free home you deserve this holiday season and contact Aquarius Home Services. And don't forget to mention that Russo sent you. Aquarius Home Services, earning the right to be recommended.
There are many reasons to open a smart checking account at Royal Credit Union, including no monthly fees, no minimum balance, and a $250 bonus. Getting your $250 is easy. Open your account by December 9th. Receive 2 payroll direct deposits of $200 or more, and you'll get a $250 bonus. See details and open your account today at rcu.org/getchecking. No minimum balance required to obtain bonus. Offer ends 12/9/25. Insured by NCUA.
Deer hunting season is here, and it's time to own your odds with OnX Hunt, the GPS hunting app trusted by millions of hunters. With the Hunt app, you'll have access to nationwide public and private land ownership information, waypoints, tracks, and much more, all at your fingertips. Go to onxmaps.com/hunt. That's onxmaps.com/hunt to sign up today. It's been very, very patient. You have a question? You have a whole clipboard.
No. So I have probably the most unpopular opinion in the room, so I wanted to get the nerves out of the way first. And
aren't you the biggest Zach Bogosian fan ever? Or you don't like
Marco
Zach? It's
is
one of
my
the two.
number one.
Oh, it's Marco. Okay.
Yeah. Rossi is my fave. And I could feel it coming. And the rumors that you guys in the press were talking about, I figured.
Yeah, by the way, Anthony, I was right. They traded Marco Rossi.
Marco told me, he said, now remember, Michael's going to say he was right. And I just, for 36 months, I've heard he was going to get traded. He finally did.
Yeah, because they were going to trade him.
And when he signed, you guys in the press were still talking about it. But anyway, I wanted to start with, before Friday, I had like this whole tirade on Kevin Fallness and the red jerseys. And I'm not going to go into it because obviously there's bigger news now. But those red jerseys, like, there's a lot of people that still like them. I mean, not to stereotype, but I think a lot of women like red. Red's beautiful for Christmas. It's a gorgeous color. And I'm just going to put that out there because before the big trade, I was excited for the show to talk about. The red jerseys are gorgeous.
Which red jerseys?
Our beloved, our wild jerseys.
The old red jerseys?
Yes, they are. They're beautiful.
Yeah, I like them too.
And one of the best pictures of Pavel Dimitra is in just a huge smile in that red sweater, and they're gorgeous. So I'm just putting it out there because there's more than one opinion on the colors. So thank you. But that was before the big news.
I take it Fallness took the opposite opinion.
He said he wanted them buried in the cellar or something, like forever. So anyway, that's just kind of a little salty.
Shocker
anyway,
that he's wrong.
So Russo, I brought this as like not high like I didn't put a lot of investment in this. Is like a Dollar Tree frame, so I'm just going to admit that. But Russo, you had made that really heartfelt, beautiful dedication to your friend that passed away, Larry, I think his name was, in the press. Maybe the name's wrong.
Yeah, Larry.
Last time. So I just wanted to mention, which you probably wouldn't brag on yourself, but you do great stories. Hockey's more than just, obviously, sports, as we've talked about. So I wanted to bring this kind of back out from the archives. Michael Russo wins the inaugural Red Fisher Award, which I think is awesome. And I just wanted to do that because, again, before Friday, like, I was excited to come to the show and just had some other things in mind. So
thank you so much. Very nice of you.
You won't toot your own horn.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow. By the way, I was talking to somebody the other day about the fact that when I won this red Fisher, I never actually got anything for it. So I will definitely proudly put this up in my. I will proudly put this.
I was trying to search for the trophy.
There is no trophy. So I will proudly put this up in my office. Thank you very much.
So if anybody look it online,
cool.
It's on the Professional Hockey Writers website.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
I couldn't fit the whole thing. There's like one paragraph behind the other one.
Okay. Thank you so much.
But I do want to say, and part of it's like, I'll get emotional because my grandfather, if his life would have went different, he would have probably played with Herbie at the U, and my grandfather probably would have went pro too. So I'm a pretty private person, and he might, even if he was still alive today, have a different opinion than me. But I know I'm not the only one, because when I texted a friend on Friday, he also had, he used the phrase conflicted. I was like super angry.
About Marco?
Well, he's so talented and he's proven. Yeah. And that's a lot of talent. And the draft picks, I mean, Zeev is awesome, and that's awesome too. But I mean, if he could stay or could have stayed, but Marco is proven and he's given so much to this team. So I just want to kind of put that out there because sometimes, and I know you guys want to stay close to, your inside scoops and stuff in the press, and this is definitely not a dig on you guys, but the press corps can sometimes seem like, I don't know if I say this word correctly, but sycophants, or I don't know if it's like there's that groupthink that can, it's great and it's exciting, and I'm happy for people that are super excited for this.
No, I get
acquisition.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, look, I think, I'm sure that both Anthony and I, when we probably saw the first initial, payout for this player, it was like, wow, that's a heck of a lot. I know that Anthony and I have had that conversation that night, and I do think it's a lot. But this player is so elite that you have to make these type of moves sometimes, and I think that most fans want your general manager to make these type of aggressive, incredible moves. And this is an absolute superstar. Like he will be in the Hall of Fame.
And the reason why I didn't bring up my grandpa to like piggyback off him, but just to give context, like I was a season ticket holder the first 2 years. Just recently been watching some of the highlights of those old playoffs. We all remember watching those. And we didn't have a team full of superstars. And again, I'm not knocking any of this, but I want Marco to get his props too, because I haven't heard a lot of that and I haven't necessarily had time to dig into it. But he's a big reason that they did make the playoffs also last year. And I just want to put I don't know him personally. I literally never, all I know is his character.
I could tell you, I talked to him that night. I mean, he obviously was so classy in just everything that he said about this organization, how it's traded for him, but he's excited. And you're right. I mean, it does. It stinks when you're a fan and you fall for your players and things like that. I'm callous that way. Like I've covered a lot. I've covered 1,000 players,
a lot of that,
and I've covered a lot of guys that I'm super tight with that wind up leaving, and he's one of them. And I'm gonna miss him too. But the way that I always look at it is like, this is going to be the best thing for his career. Like absolutely the best thing. He goes to a place where he's 100%. Like he's going to some place where he's wanted. It was just a matter of time. There was a certain inevitability to him getting traded at some point because he just wasn't appreciated as much in this organization. But because of the player that he has developed into is how you get a player like this. And he should be proud of that.
Well, and the Vancouver guys said that. They said, we needed a deal where we got a top 6 forward, and they got one. So they're excited to get him.
Stanley Cups.
Look, I think
I don't know if he will with Vancouver, but
he's going to be a good player. But I mean, the Wild gave up a lot. They gave up a lot in this deal. There's no question about it. But they got the best player in the trade, which is usually the goal in most trades. And you're hoping Zeev Buium becomes Quinn Hughes. But now you have Quinn Hughes, so there is no wonder you have it. And Marco, I was as big a fan of Marco Rossi as anybody that covered this team, probably to a point that that was part of the reason why I kept saying I just don't think it's a no-brainer that they're going to trade him in these previous off seasons. But they'll find a guy that can do what Marco Rossi did. So you can't find a guy that does what Quinn Hughes does.
So I'll get off the mic so I'm not hogging the mic.
I think that's what we have to remember here.
So the thing that is in my mind, and maybe a couple other people possibly, is if this new acquire gets injured and we gave away all of that.
Yeah, but
we
Marco,
have a lot of injuries on our team, and I'll leave, I promise. But like every other coach, again, does anyone question the strength and conditioning coach? Is there recovery? These are little pieces that pop up in your mind on if he gets hurt. Then what? He might never get hurt, but that's a possibility.
What if
hockey,
Marco Rossi gets hurt in Vancouver?
Yeah, Marco Rossi just missed 15.
We gave away all that.
There's a lot of question there.
So.
I think the way you kind of have to look at it is like let's say that the Wild don't extend Quinn. If they extend him, then the package that they gave up becomes a lot more palatable. If they don't, what would have to happen in the next 2 seasons to make it worth it? And we've had fans here over the years that have said, like, I just want to see one playoff run. I want to see. Well, now you got a chance to see that. Yeah. So what would be worth it if they win a cup in the next 2 years? For sure, it's worth it. What if they make it to the finals? What if they make it to the conference finals one of the next 2 years? Is that worth it? Yeah. I think that's the question you have to ask. And I don't know the answer to that. I think that's for fans to decide.
Yeah. The one thing about Quinn, and we just saw it with the Vancouver Canucks, is he let them know 2 years ahead of time he was not staying. And he is such a respectful guy and so aware of what they just gave up for him that if there comes a point where he says, you know what, I want to test free agency, I promise you there will be communication with Bill that he will have plenty of time to react with that. He also has one of the best agents in the NHL that is used to brokering deals to help general managers make trades. So my guess is that while you're not getting Marco Rossi, Zeev Buium, Liam Ogren, a first-round pick back for a potential rental in Quinn Hughes, the Wild will be able to at least recoup some assets the way that Carolina did with Mikko Rantanen last year. Thanks so much for the gift. I appreciate it.
So I'm just voting for your Irish wake. I don't know if you're Irish at all. So
I'm
when you
definitely
said
not
that
Irish.
people would be, you talked about when your time comes, you're appreciated. So just to end on a positive note.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. My last name ends with a vowel, so I'm Italian like Anthony, only more Italian. And a better.
That's debatable.
Yeah. Okay. So all I know is that everywhere we went in Sicily, I saw my name on billboards and buses and things like that, stores. Didn't see LaPanta.
Well, it was Del LaPanta when it was Sicilian.
Yeah. Question.
Yeah, well, sorry to dwell on Quinn Hughes, but I just have a couple of quick fun ones.
I don't think everybody's here to talk about Ben Jones. I'm just saying. So.
Oh, these guys are.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's me or not, but I kind of was watching that interview last night, and I kept thinking, does he look like Bob Dylan or does he look like Jeremy Allen White?
Yeah, I mean, what do you think?
He does a little bit.
I don't know. Go look. Go look.
All right, we'll take a
And
look.
then
I'll
the
take a
other thing
closer look.
is I'm actually wearing a T-shirt, and I really enjoy seeing the players' T-shirts, and I was wondering if they were going to put one together that says "Thanks for sacking up, Billy."
That's. I'm shocked that we haven't seen that yet on the thing. Somebody did send me a funny GIF that they made of Billy holding a sack of something. But speaking of your T-shirt, I mean, how good is Ryan Hartman playing right now? Man, him and Eriksson Ek.
Yeah, the last couple games he's been noticeably different. And he's going to have to be. I mean, right now it's Danila Yurov and Ryan Hartman are two of your top three centers.
Yep.
And it's going to be that way for a while. And we've seen it from Hartman, though, before in the playoffs.
Yep.
Now you have to be able to see it. He's got to have it every single night the rest of the way.
Yep. Question.
So last night's game was an awful lot of fun. And the simple question is, what does Billy Guerin have to do to get Sidney Crosby to come to the team so we get that stud, although aging center, but Sidney Crosby, that's the next step. That's what we want.
All right, here's my theory, is I think that will be a storyline after the Olympics, right before the trade deadline. And I have no doubt in my mind that Billy will get in on that. The question is, what do you give up? Like, what if they ask for Jesper Wallstedt? Like, are you giving up Jesper Wallstedt for a 38-year-old defenseman?
No chance.
Center. So what could the Wild package
The
to get
whole
that,
fourth line.
Yeah.
Really, I mean that.
And maybe they'll get the 1 point in Pittsburgh.
And the truth is,
And maybe
like
the third line.
no matter who the target is, and we talked about this over the weekend, is now if you are going to try to add a center, you've given just about every asset you have away. The only assets you really have left that are tradable assets, realistically tradable assets, are one of the two goaltenders, or maybe Jake Middleton. I mean, that's about it.
And Jake has significant trade protection.
Right.
So does and
Jurasek.
I mean, I just don't. But he's not going to bring anything. I mean, you can trade those guys, and you're not going to get anything that's better than what you have.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, and I don't mean to throw out those names as like they're expendable. I'm just saying, when you look at now what you have, you don't have a tremendous number of prospects. You don't have your number one pick left.
Yeah.
That you could go get a legitimate.
The only
center.
thing the Wild would have at their disposal is Sidney, if that makes sense. He's going to decide where he wants to go, and the one thing I know about Sidney from a loyalty standpoint is if he ever wanted to leave, he would not let the Pittsburgh Penguins get nothing for him. But if the Wild know that he wants to come there, there might come a point where Pittsburgh has to do it. But I don't think that he would allow that team to get things.
And I just think it's limited what the Wild have left to trade.
No doubt about it.
There's going to be other teams that are going to be able to offer a lot more.
But Sidney is going to decide if he wants to stay. Sidney's going to decide where he wants to go. There's obviously a lot of connections here. First of all, his agent's Pat Brisson, which is Quinn's agent. But Pat Brisson has 100 players in the league, 115 players in the league if you include J.P. Barry, his partner. And one of them, by the way, is Nathan McKinnon, who everybody knows is Sidney's like best buddy. So like somebody I saw tweeted the other day, follow the connection here that Sidney Crosby's Quinn Hughes share the same agent. Well, so does Nathan McKinnon. So does Cole Caulfield. So does like everybody in the league. So that really means nothing. It's Bill Guerin. It's Marc-Andre Fleury. It's how the Wild are playing. It's Quinn Hughes. It's Kirill Kaprizov. It's what Sidney thinks if he could help. If Sidney looked at this team and said, this is a true contender, that obviously is always a possibility. So this will, trust me, Pittsburgh's not making the playoffs. After we get back from the Olympics, well, before too, it's going to be storyline. But there's no way he's leaving it before the Olympics. After the Olympics, between that and the March 6th deadline, which is about 10 days, buckle up for some trade rumors. League-wide. I'm not just saying with Minnesota and Crosby. Yep.
One question as far as on the broadcast last night, I think, well, actually, it could have been Gore, I can't remember, but somebody said that they had the feeling that Billy had another big trade possibility coming up. He's looking for one more big swing of the bat. And my question is, barring Sidney Crosby, where are we looking right now at our cap space situation?
Well, it's really convoluted because they have so many two-way guys on their payroll right now that shouldn't even be on this team. So, it's not accurate compared to what you think. But they got plenty of cap space that if they stay healthy, they're going to accrue. But they got to make sure. I mean, they're an injury or two away from having to potentially go to LTIR. But they will have a chance to accrue and get players as we go along.
Okay, is there anybody that you have in mind that could be on the radar for the Wild that seems at least remotely realistic?
I mean, I don't want to just throw a bunch of names out. I mean, obviously, everybody knows that. I think like when the Islanders fired or when Lou Lamoriello resigned, the first call that Matthew Darsh probably got was from the Wild about Bo Horvat and Barzell. And now today Kevin Adams is fired, and I guarantee you at some point here Bill Guerin's going to call Jarmo to say what are you thinking? Now my gut says that Jarmo's not doing anything there to get rid of core until they get a new coach, until everything is figured out there, because this is a league right now with superstars all throughout the league, littered everywhere. Sam Reinhart, Jack. I mean, you can go on and on and on that were former Sabres. So I don't think his first move is going to be to trade Tage Thompson and Alex Tuck maybe at some point. But Tage, I don't know. But that would be my dream.
Okay, so you haven't heard any rumors about anything you can share with us?
No, I mean, the only thing I can tell you is I don't disagree. I look at this roster. I mean, just sometimes it's just intuition. I think, Anthony, that they need a forward. I talked to Billy this morning, and I'm like, anything going on? He goes, quiet. I'm like, you told me that the morning you traded Quinn Hughes. He goes, well, I only told you that because I knew that we'd have a chuckle afterwards about it. I'm like, well, I'm not chuckling, man. It's pretty embarrassing. I talked to you twice that day while you're in the midst of trading for Quinn Hughes. And I'm with his mom right here in Edmonton, which pissed me off too. So anyway, didn't make me feel like the smartest reporter, but I don't know. I mean, I think that he did tell me that today there would be no trades.
Okay, and last question.
And I want to tell you about Twill in the Edina Galleria. Scott Dayton's Twill in the Edina Galleria. TwillMN.com is the website. I'm wearing my Johnny O hat. I'm wearing one of my many Peter Millar shirts. Johnny O and Peter Millar are two of my favorite brands out of Twill in the Edina Galleria. When I've been going to Wolves game lately, I've been wearing my Dingman shoes. I've been wearing my Brax pants, my either Peter Millar or Johnny O shirts, pullovers. The Wolves games are weird because they're really cold, and then they turn on the fire jets before the game and singe your eyebrows. You need to be prepared for all kinds of different temperatures in that building. And I just use all my Twill stuff. And as we do more shows here at TalkNorth.com on video, I'll be wearing more Twill stuff because it's really simple. I don't always try to look good. Sometimes I'm very happy being a slob, and I wear old sweats and T-shirts. If I'm trying to look presentable in any way, Talk North meetings, sponsor meetings, big games, going out in public, going out to dinner, I just put on something I bought at Twill. It's just that simple. If I put on something I bought at Twill, I'm going to look good. I'm playing a Randy Shavers golf tournament on Monday. I'm going to wear Twill stuff to that too. Golf, walk around town, dinner, whatever. TwillMN.com. Go to Twill in the Edina Galleria. They're laid back. They love talking sports. They're nice people. Tell them we sent you. You'll have a good time, and you'll end up walking out with something great.
Hey, have you been dreaming of a lake cabin lifestyle with boating, fishing, and family fun in northern Minnesota? Well, lately I've thought a lot about how cool it would be to have a getaway like so many Minnesotans. And if you're like me, you probably think that owning your own lakeside getaway is beyond your budget. Well, if you think lake cabin real estate prices keep going up, well, think again. This is Russo, and I'm here to tell you there is an affordable way to enjoy a cabin lifestyle and all that goes with it. And yes, I said affordable. I founded a Clamshell Beach Resort, which is located on the Whitefish chain of 14 lakes for you and your family to enjoy. Here's how. Clamshell has lake homes that offer deeded fractional ownership, and the keywords there are deeded and fractional. You own it. Imagine having 5 weeks a year to enjoy Clamshell with its beaches, pool, and lodge that's full of kids' activities. Is golf your game? There's a great golf course right across the road. Like winter sports? Well, you can go ice fishing, cross-country skiing, or snowmobiling right out the door at Clamshell. And there's no maintenance, no grass mowing, no snow removal. It's done all for you. And you can own a share of Clamshell Beach Resort at an affordable price. To learn more about ownership opportunities at Clamshell Beach Resort, go to cottagesonwhitefish.com or contact Pat Egan at 612-220-9819. That's cottagesonwhitefish.com or Pat Egan at 612-220-9819.
Okay, and last question. In your mind, Russo, what do you think we need to be an actual Stanley Cup
I'm
contender?
going to let
I still
Anthony.
don't think
Anthony
we are
hasn't.
right now.
This is the longest Anthony's gone without speaking, so I'm going to let Anthony.
Well,
answer that.
I think right now you have to let this team gel a little bit with what you have. I think they saw enough from Danila Yurov over the last couple days that they thought that they could at least bridge the gap between Marco Rossi there and if there's a possibility to add somebody. I still think they're probably a center short, but with this defensive core, if healthy, Hughes and Faber, second pair of Brodin and Spurgeon that was the stingiest pair in the league last year when they played together, third pair of Middleton and Bogosian, you got something. And the goaltenders have been good enough. You've got superstars up front. So I think you have to let it play out a little bit and see. My initial thought would be you're probably one centerman short, but maybe you get enough from these guys. And if Kaprizov and Zuccarello do enough scoring, maybe you get away with Yurov as your first line center. And he's been really good. He's more rigid defensively than Rossi was. So I think maybe you can get away with that. If you get the playoff Ryan Hartman down the stretch in the regular season, maybe you get away with what you have. But I think you have to let these guys play together for a little bit before you realize and make an aggressive move to say, yep, we need that.
Okay, so you think we have potentially enough firepower to possibly get through Dallas or the Avalanche?
I think the way we've played against those two teams in the last week would tell you that you're not that far off.
Okay.
And we dominated Dallas when they were here, and that was a healthy Dallas team. And Colorado, I wouldn't say the Wild dominated the game, but it was a dead even game, and the Wild won it. So yeah, I don't think the gap is large between those teams, but those teams probably have a move left to be made this season as well. So
definitely.
I think Dallas is a little beat up on the back end right now, and I think that we'll probably see them beef up their roster a little bit too. So these are three of the best 5 or 6 teams in the league, and 3 of the best 4 defensemen now reside in the Central Division. So it's going to be fun.
All right, thank you.
They're doing this inundated with injuries, Anthony, which is just crazy. And to your point on asking the question on if they're good enough to beat Dallas or Colorado, there's plenty of hockey left this season, and the Wild, there's no way this is going to be their roster to start the playoffs. Bill Guerin's going to do some other stuff.
Well, I thought it was interesting when we were getting ready for the Dallas game, and you look at their top 6, and in each case, it's kind of 2 guys, and then they're plugging and playing the third guy. Robertson was playing with Hintz, and then it was Sam Steele some of the time playing with those guys. Well, Danila Yurov and Ryan Hartman are every bit the player that Sam Steele is, and they just are. And then on the other line you had Johnston and Rantanen, but they were kind of plugging another guy in there. Well, the Wild could have that with Kaprizov and Zuccarello on one line and Boldy and Eriksson Ek on another. So it doesn't have to be the center.
I am looking forward to getting to practice tomorrow and seeing who's on the ice, because I think Foligno's close. Zuccarello and Middleton are eligible to come off IR tomorrow, and the Wild so far today haven't made any roster moves. So we'll see if those guys potentially are on the ice. And then we got to get a Marcus Johansson and David Juracek update as well. By the way, as I mentioned at the top of the show, this is probably the largest crowd that we've ever had for one of our podcasts. Well, if you like basketball, Chris Finch and Bones Highland, they're going to be joining John Krasinski on Saturday at Head Flyers at 4 p.m. So Chris Finch, Bones Highland, John Krasinski, John by far the most talented of those 3, by the way, is 4 p.m. at Head Flyers. Question?
Well, the question that I came up here to ask has been answered in a number of different ways. So, but there's a lot of fun things to talk about.
By the way, nobody's taking merchandise. You're welcome if you ask a question to come up and grab a shirt.
The question that I have now is really about when the guys get healthy, and I think you're thinking. I mean,
never.
Well, it is the NHL. It's a hard game, and every team goes through it. But what, in your mind, when do you think, barring further injury to our existing guys that are on the ice, when can we see the whole team on the ice? Is it 2 weeks? Is it? I mean, I know some guys are day to day, some guys are week to week.
Yeah, I mean,
well, the longest away right now is probably Hinostroza, but I think Foligno is close. Zuccarello and Middleton are a little bit more, you hit or miss. You just that. When you're dealing with what they're dealing with, it can happen overnight. One morning you wake up and everything feels great, and then you're good to go. Brodin, I think, he's probably a week or so. So you never know. I mean, the way this season has gone with these guys, about the day one of those guys comes back, somebody else gets hit in the ankle with a puck. And
Johansson looked like a non-contact injury.
That's concerning. I agree with you.
Yeah, there was no contact. But I don't know how serious his was. I mean, I think that might have been, and I don't know this. They were ahead 5-1 at the time, where it might just be let's just let it cool down. You got a day off tomorrow, and if it had been 2-2 in the closing seconds, maybe we'd have seen him try to come back.
Last question, Tarasenko.
Anthony,
I know it's not a question, but my question is, what?
That was a question, actually.
What are we going to do? I mean, I look, if the rest of the team comes back, is there a chance that he watches a game once in a while?
Well, I think there's a chance. I think it's less likely now when you just traded away 2 forwards. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden your depth is a little bit thinner than it used to be. I actually think he's been okay these couple games playing with Kaprizov, with Zuccarello out. He's been a little more visible. He's actually made some plays. But when Zuccarello comes back, he's not staying there. He's not going to supplant Johansson on the Eriksson and Boldy line.
And he's not playing the power play.
And no, he'll be on the second power play probably. But then all of a sudden you're talking about what do you want your third line to look like? Foligno and Trenyon were pretty good together. Mm-hmm. Do you want those two guys with Sturm and maybe Tarasenko with Hartman? I mean, that's probably where he lands, but that's a lot of ifs, and it's a whole bunch of guys that have to be healthy at the same time.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Question.
You guys don't have an update on Johansson at all?
No, they were off today.
Okay. And since we did jersey opinions, I can't stand the Subway yellow and green. But my question to you guys is, Quinn mentioned the Four Nations. You guys are talking a little bit about, upcoming Team USA. How much with Billy G being involved, do you attribute that to his ability to get some of these trades done and be involved, get to know guys on other teams, things like that?
Yeah, I definitely could tell you from talking to people close to Quinn that Billy, during that process last year where Quinn was hurt going into the Four Nations, he was doing daily check-ins and they hit it off. So like a big deal. The reason why I bring this up, and I wrote this in my story that Anthony didn't read, was that there was such a huge.
Can you jot down your login info for me?
Yeah, there was just this huge uproar in Vancouver when Quinn, before the trade, called Tom Fitzgerald Fitzy. Well, first of all, anybody in the league that has been around this league knows Tom Fitzgerald and calls him Fitzy. As I joked with Quinn's mom the other day, I've called Fitzy since 1995.
And most people know Billy and call him either Billy or Billy G. I mean, he's got that kind of a relationship all around the league, whether it's guys that are a part of Team USA or not. But I mean, I don't think it hurts, but I don't really think it's not like guys want to come to Minnesota because they think it gives them a better chance to be on the Olympic team. Yeah,
absolutely. But I just think they come to Minnesota, one, because of you all. Like, I mean, Quinn is such a hockey guy that this place absolutely was intrigued him, and so that's one. And two, you play in an incredible arena. They treat their players magnificently, and I think that people, the goal that Bill Guerin has, we're talking about Sidney Crosby and Tage Thompson, And again, I know everybody wants everything to happen right now, but when you add a Quinn Hughes to your lineup and you add a Kirill Kaprizov to your lineup and you have a Brock Faber and you have two great goalies and you have Matt Boldy, who is, in the opinion of almost every NHLer, an actual superstar, the hope is that that recruits other people. So that's a big thing. But a lot of it's just the reputation the Wild have around the league is how they treat players. It is unbelievable the amount of money that they spend on these guys, whether it's families or food or their travel, everything this team does.
They travel better than anybody in the league.
And just the fact that Billy Guerin is so astute enough to say, I'm getting on Craig Leopold's plane and flying and picking up Quinn Hughes. That says everything. And I won't report this on here because I'll ask Quinn first of all if I can report it. But even just how the Wild are putting him up and the thought process around it makes so much sense in the world. And so I think their goal is to make Quinn fall in love with this market. And I think it's going to happen. Like, I really genuinely don't, like, I've talked to enough people between his family, Quinn, and Pat Brisson, and today guys that are friends with him, to know that Quinn was not just BSing yesterday when he says he's coming here with an open mind. I think he's going to re-sign here. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And I think he's going to become buddies with Kirill Kaprizov, and any top scoring defenseman like Quinn Hughes knows how good he can make, and they can make him, guys like Matt Boldy and Kirill Kaprizov. So,
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Bruce.
Hey, Michael.
How are you?
I have a question about Volstead. So right now he's leading the league in goals against average, save percentage, and shutouts. Now he's only played 12 games. So I have kind of a hypothetical question. It's kind of a subjective thing. I need your opinion as a writer, how this works. He'd have to play 29 of the last 49 games to even qualify for the Vezina. But let's just say, for the sake of argument,
I didn't even know that.
You do.
Okay.
You got to play at least half the games.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just assume that he plays 29 of the last 49, which I'm not sure that even happens for the Wild, but let's just say it does. How does it work? Let's say he finishes in the top couple guys in goals against, save percentage, all the metrics that count. How does the voting work? Does he? Can he get?
I
past
could
some
talk
of the
about
inherent
this.
biases?
Well, it's not even that. I mean, the Vezina. It's funny because so many general managers scoff at the fact that the writers vote for 5 awards, that the broadcasters vote for the Jack Adams, but they vote for the Vezina. And is there a bigger conflict of interest than that? This is my problem with this award. I mean, like, if you're another general manager, you want to vote for Jesper Wallstedt for the Vezina and blow the Wild salary structure out of water when he's eligible for a extension this summer. Yeah. It is so ridiculous that general managers are allowed to vote for a major award like this. It's ridiculous. So he absolutely will have a chance, and probably a good chance, just because of that, So,
right.
Anthony, you have anything to add?
I don't think there's any chance he plays 41 games.
Yeah.
You have to play fewer than that to qualify to lead the league in goals against, so he might be able to do that. But I don't think barring an injury to Gus, he won't get to 41.
I thought the Jennings is what was 41. So if he played 40 and led the league in goals against, But though it's combined with the
Jennings
it's combined
is
with
the team.
the But if you play less than 41, I don't think that the other there is something there, because remember the one year that Fernandez and Backstrom, did they both share the Jennings?
Well, it's a team award.
Yeah.
It's the team that
There's
has the
something there.
lowest
I gotta
goals
look that
against.
up.
But it goes to the goalies on the team.
Okay. God, I thought there's one example of a Jennings where, like, the second goalie did not get a part of it because he didn't qualify for the number of games. But anyway.
That could be.
Yeah.
What does your guys' next 24 hours, 48 hours look like after a big trade like that? Is it preparing game statistics
Anthony, nothing.
or calls?
Well, no, that's not true. Actually, I was sitting at my kitchen table and we were getting ready to go out for dinner, and all of a sudden I had the NHL Network on, but I wasn't listening to it, and I looked up and I saw Elliot Friedman on there, and the caption underneath had a Wild logo, and I looked and I said, "Hang on a second, Margo," and we were walking out the door, and I said, "I got to listen to this and see what's going on," and so we turned up the volume, listened. I was like, "Wow, this is In fact, I think I called you when we were on our way to dinner just because I started to see the.
I almost sent you to voicemail, by the way.
Yeah, well,
by the way, my next 24 hours ain't easy.
What? Well,
especially the next hour after.
But so as I was sitting at the table, I was working on my game file for the next day's game because it was an afternoon game, and so my prep is a lot. There's a lot that goes. A day game sucks for a TV guy. I'll just tell you that. And because you have to wait until all the games are over Friday night to update every graphic has a league ranking on it. That has to be done after the games are done Friday night. And then the game's at 1:00 the next, our crew gets there at 6 a.m. And I got to have the graphics to them before they get there. And so I was working on my file to have everything done where all I had to do was update the rankings. And all of a sudden we went to dinner and when I came home, I got to build 8 graphics that have to do with defenseman scoring and the Wild over the last couple of years and Quinn Hughes. And so there was a ton that got added to that just because it was out of the blue. So it was a late night for me that night with an early morning for the game day. Now I know yours is way more work and way more contacts that you had to make.
You laugh, but I mean, do you think that the 50,000 words I've written the last 70 hours just magically come out of your fingertips?
Well, I haven't.
You know what reminds me of what he's saying about day game sucks? The Memorial Day when you were
well, that was different. That was a little different.
His blood alcohol on the air was like 0.4.
Yeah. Well. That was doing a pre and post game show. I don't know if it was 0.4, but it might have been It might have still been registering.
Yeah, definitely.
We were at a bonfire until sunup, and I was working a Twins day game. But that was a little different.
Yeah.
When it's a play-by-play thing like this, and we have a joke because our colleague Kevin Gorg he'll sit at the table and I just love day games, and our crew will look at him and like. Don't ever say that again, because for the rest of us, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
For you, because you just show up and you're going to ask 3 questions on the bench. Well, that's great for you.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh man, I hope Gorg doesn't listen to this. That is mean. But he has all the color coding.
He does. You got to make your placard of the wild lineup.
But it is it is funny that the day game thing when he's going in and all of a sudden he like comes out. He goes Russo, can you Google who's pitching for the Royals tomorrow? And
that wasn't my finest moment. I had a producer the next year that requested Memorial Day off just because she didn't want to.
I'm not kidding you. Remember you went on the air for like Twins Live that day at like 10 a.m. or something?
It was like 11.
Yeah.
It was a day game.
So I got home from his party at like 7:30 or 8, and I actually set the alarm because I just wanted to know what he looked like. And then I went back to sleep.
Now, I should offer just a little
you, by the way,
context.
looked awful.
It was the reason why these were late. It was our children's graduation parties when they graduated from high school were always on the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
And then I happened to be working a Monday day game. So it wasn't like we just stayed up on a random night till sunup at a fire. It was, we were having a party at our house that got a little later.
I knew that it was going to be your finest moment on the air when all of a sudden you turn on the barbecue at like 5 a.m. to make burgers. I'm like, whoa.
People were hungry.
Yeah. That was a really fun night. Yeah, that was really cool that night. I just thought of another one, but that one I definitely won't tell her. People are going to really start to think you're an alcoholic. Yeah. From me, I could tell you, I mean, I'll just give you the play-by-play of my night. I mean, I get the call. I'm in Edmonton. I get the call at 5 o'clock from somebody that said major trade, and he knew all 3 guys that were traded from the Wild to Vancouver. And knew it from Bill Guerin calling around essentially to tell people that they were traded. And I knew that if it's Vancouver, it's either Quinn Hughes or Elias Pettersson. So now I'm trying to go about second sourcing, and I cannot tell you. First of all, as I'm preparing the tweet, this was at 5 o'clock, and if you look, I broke the story at 5:34, 5-ish. This is Edmonton time, so 6:34, 5 here. I had that tweet up on my screen for 25 minutes and could not get anybody to second source it. And the only reason why I didn't say Marco Rossi, Liam Ogren, and I didn't know about the first, but Liam Ogren and Z Boyum traded to Vancouver, besides the fact that it would set Vancouver on fire, is because I've never heard of a GM calling players and telling them all the players that are in the deal. So I just was really concerned. Like I was so convinced on the trade, but I'm like, God, what if I'm wrong? Like, what if I tweet that Z Boyum's been traded and he's not been traded? Like, you know, So I didn't, and then finally I got the thumbs up to that from the second source that was able to put it out there. So that was crazy. And then you just go to work, and in those 20 minutes, I let my editors know. I let Joe Smith know, who was out, so he went home, and we got started on our breaking news story. And then Joe and I got into a Google Doc because he's back here. I'm in Edmonton. We are now writing our column. In the interim, I got Marco Rossi on the phone. So now my editor's like, why don't you write a Rossi story for the morning? Joe and I comboed a roster projection for the next day. And then now I wake up the next morning and I have to go to the morning skate, and I'm supposed to sit down with Ellen Hughes that morning. Like, what are the chances, right? Talk about a stroke of luck. And I finally said to my editor, I can't just sit here and let, Joe's got all this work to do. He's going to cover the Bill Guerin presser. He's covering the game. I'm like, I'll call Craig Leopold. I'll call Pat Brisson, and maybe I get something. And then Pat, I couldn't believe it when he's like, yeah, you could go on the record with everything I tell you. So I went with that. And then again, stroke of luck. Hopefully I'm not talking out of turn and giving stuff that I shouldn't, but I wound up watching the Devils Ducks game with Luke and Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes' mom that day. So I got all this incredible color of her watching Luke play the Ducks. It was just, it was such a great day, and all this stuff you will eventually start to see. I got hours of Hughes stories that are going to be in the pipeline. So, and as I said, I'm working on an Ellen Hughes feature for the Olympics as well. And again, she works for USA Women. So, what are you feel like you're kind of like, I cannot believe for the biggest trade in wild history, I'm in Edmonton. And then what are the chances that you're going to be spending 3-4 days with the superstar's mom? It's just crazy. And so it turned out to be big. And then now you work, first of all, I'm there covering USA Hockey's women, so I'm writing all those type of stories. And then now we got to start thinking, like, remember when John Hines was hired? Joe Smith and I probably wrote 7 Hines profiles in the next week. Today was, that was a day where all of a sudden we got to work now on, all right, here's who we're going to call for. So Joe and I divvied up about 10 people that we know are really tight with Quinn and got going on that. So it was pretty cool. Final couple of minutes of the show, because Anthony does have dinner reservations that he
have dinner reservations.
Yeah, that he wisely made at 8:00.
I didn't make them. I got invited to them, and I said,
I have a podcast to 8.
I said I have a podcast. They said the latest reservation we can get is 8. I said, okay,
200 people decided to come here, and you decide, all right, you know what, I'm going to leave.
I said I'm not leaving early. I'm going to wait till the show's over.
It's 1 minute.
Okay. All right, let's make it a fast question.
Real quick question. I know we've spoken a lot about this, and I think, Russo, you talked about this yesterday, that Kiefer Sherwood probably not going to happen, probably going to go to Tampa, just from your speculation. Do you think...
I actually talked about Dallas, I think, but maybe Tampa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just as far as, like, what you think Billy G is looking for in a center, do you think there's any contemplation of age? Is he a utility guy just for this year? I know just with the caliber of Hughes, you almost have to extend them. There's going to be that conversation. But for a center, just for right now, are we trying to get a young guy? Are we trying to get a veteran? And do you think Nick Schmaltz of Utah would be a good fit?
I think he'd be a good fit. And they're falling it out. He's UFA. As a rental, actually, that's a great name. That would be somebody that wouldn't shock. Very tight with Bill Armstrong, Billy. Incredible respect.
It all comes down to what the price would be, because they just don't have a ton of assets left to give.
Yeah.
But I really think...
the other thing with Utah, Anthony, is that they have so many picks and prospects that might not appetize, be appetizing for them. So...
I don't know.
It's a great name.
Yeah, it is a good name.
Yep. I'll bring it up to Billy.
Time for one more?
You know what's really funny is, and Billy, I don't know if Billy doesn't remember this, but last Saturday I was on the phone with him because I called him. I'm like, hey, I am hearing that you're going after Sherwood. And then I said to him, I'm like, I'm hearing more and more that Quinn is being talked about out there. And he's like, really? I haven't heard that. And I don't know if he was lying or what, but anyway.
You guys mentioned to get someone like Crosby, it would take Wallstedt.
Well, I'm just saying.
But like that's the only asset we really have left to like trade for a big center with term. Mm-hmm. I guess my question is, would you make that trade Wallstedt or Gustafsson to get one of these big centers with term like Thompson or Crosby.
Well, Thompson maybe.
Yeah.
Crosby, the 38 thing is what just I know it's Crosby and he's still one of the best players in the league, but to give up a 22-year-old goalie, that just makes me nervous.
That's tough.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't think I would, but right now I wouldn't touch the two goaltenders. I just think.
Let's put it this way, though, Anthony. Like, I don't think you and I on last week's podcast. I think I even did under my breath. Would you consider? We talked. Somebody asked about untouchables, and I think I asked you, but then we just didn't talk about it. But is Boehm untouchable? We never actually got into it.
I think.
But after Boehm is traded,
talked about on the show though was that I said I think with Billy everybody is tradable. I think for the right deal, he would trade anybody, and
except
I think
for Kaprizov and Boldy.
But this trade. That's we did talk about it on the show because I think I said other than Kaprizov, Boldy, and maybe Faber, I think he'd trade anybody.
And then I'm almost positive I almost said I did say under my breath, what about Boehm? And then we never got into it because I actually was under the belief that Boehm was untradeable, or not untradeable. Excuse me, untouchable. Yeah, very tradable. So. After he trades Zeev Boehm, it's like I just don't think that anybody would
for the right deal.
You never know. I mean, if Pittsburgh says I'll give you Sidney Crosby for Jesper Wallstedt, you just don't know the mood because Billy is very impressionable. Like a lot of people just think that everything is planned out in professional sports. I mean, here's a great example. Like I asked inside the organization, have you guys talked to Craig yet? Because you realize that Quinn Hughes on an 8-year deal is going to be the exact same structure that Kaprizov. Like he's going to want. Signing bonus, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, we haven't crossed that bridge yet. I'm like, whoa. All right. I want to talk to the owner about that. So there you go.
Thanks, guys.
Grab a shirt. Yeah. Oh. All right, final question of the show. Anthony's got dinner reservations 4 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's
Sorry about that.
No worries.
By the way, Anthony, just in the future, there is great food here at Tuttle's.
There is. I got invited to somebody else's dinner reservation. I didn't make the reservation.
Sometimes you just say to somebody, "Hey, by the way, I have a podcast tonight. What about?"
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Just gotta have it marked down on his calendar, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what? It would be funny is if you just show up with me.
Yeah, we should do that.
All right.
I'm gonna reopen this old wound because I feel like every rule change.
I hope this is one that commands a 20-minute answer.
It would be good. Well, maybe you guys will get into an argument about it because you guys love to argue about this already, and you even did it earlier in the show. But because it feels like every rule change needs a catalyst and a reason for it. And in the hypothetical world that Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota go 1, 2, 3 in the league, which they're close to right now, do you think that put enough heat on the NHL to at least even consider it? I know Gary loves his divisional format, but I mean, would that you think put enough heat on them?
What do you think,
I don't
Anthony?
think so. I love the divisional format, and it's a cyclical thing. There have been years where Toronto played Boston in the first round, and a good team got beat. But when you really look at it, most years there are probably 8 to 10 teams that go into the playoffs where you say I could see them making a run. Well, only 8 advance. So there's always a couple series in the first round where a good team's going to get beat out, a team that has the potential to make a run. And right now, the Central Division happens to be on top. But if you had done this, let's say early 2000s, there was about a 6 or 8 year stretch where the power in the West was Anaheim, LA, and San Jose. And that's just, it kind of goes that way. I think right now, if you look at the young stars that are coming up in the West, Anaheim and San Jose look like they could be really good for a long time. And I don't think then people will be saying like it's a joke they have to play each other. I mean, it just happens. There's good teams that have to play each other in the first round every year. Last year, the Eastern Final, if you had done it 1 through 8, the Eastern Final would have been a first round matchup. If you had gone 1 through 8. Those would have been the 2 teams that played. And so then one of them would have gotten knocked out. They were certainly capable of a run. Whatever the format, there's going to be teams early that just get tough draws. You're in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. You got to beat good teams.
Fair enough. I think you're wrong. There we go. Is that Dr. Mead back there, by the way? I have the worst vision. That is Dr. Mead. The best doctor in the Twin Cities is back there.
I know, but before we go,
youngest retired.
We're going to take a selfie with everybody behind us here to post our picture. So perfect.
Awesome.
Now I'm off the hook with Alex. Thank you.
Thanks to our incredible sponsors. Thanks to everybody for coming out. Honestly, I cannot believe how many people were here. I had a feeling a lot of people would show up, but This is definitely a lot. Aquarius Home Services, your local authorized driller for Connecticut water treatment systems, clamshell, beach resorts, Onyx, MAP, Twill in the Edina Galleria, and Royal Credit Union. Thanks, everybody.
So much coming out, there's nothing going in. I know that you feel like you're never gonna win. Oh, but the world